On Dub Zone, Jets soar to a comeback win and send Sydney spiralling. A 17-minute hat-trick inspires the Wanderers to win number one. And the return of the Mac, Holly McNamara, back for City as they lock down top spot. Well, hello and welcome to Dub Zone. I'm Amy Duggan and delighted to be joined on the panel today by Ninja A-League Championship winner Teresa Polias and A-League's commentator Teo Pellizzeri. Great to have you both here.
Hi, Amy.
Big weekend, lots of goals and lots to get through, but we're going to start with ripping the Band-Aid off because Teresa called in sick last week and has no more excuses for the poor play of Sydney. Teresa, Sydney FC dropping to 11th on the ladder. We didn't see this one coming the way it did.
Yeah, look, it seems I took the wrong week off, but no, it's unacceptable at this point, and you can sense the frustration now. You know, the lack of fluency out there is clear, and I think confidence is down now, so it's a bit of a rut that's going to be tough to get out of.
There were some crazy moments in this match, including another one from goalkeeper Danielle Kraseniak. Red carded again for a wild challenge against Princess Sabini, Teo.
Yeah, Ryan Campbell must be playing 4D chess because his team finds ways to win with 10 players. This is the third time Newcastle's had a goalkeeper sent off in the last 10 matches. One for Izzy Nino last year, two for Danielle Kraseniak this year. And just last week, we were debating whether she should have been sent off for handling the ball outside the area against Adelaide. So Deanna Robertson comes in again. Ali Borcher will go onto the bench again. But this is becoming Groundhog Day. We're debating this every week. Yeah,
it's an interesting one because, I don't want to, throw heaps on a player, but she's an international import and you want players to come over and add to your team. And it's one of those ones where you're thinking, what next?
Well, I couldn't agree more. Like, once is happenstance, twice is coincidence. Do we need to wait for a third time before a decision gets made? Tiana Robertson wasn't amazing on the goal that Newcastle conceded. She gave the ball away and then got beaten by Indy Dos Santos. But, I mean, when Danielle Kraseniak serves another suspension, can Ryan Campbell go back to his import goalkeeper and keep the trust of his players?
That is the goal that you're talking about there from Indy Dos Santos. Doing a great job to finish that one from out wide. T had a couple of options sitting in there on the 6-yard box too. Yeah,
a great finish from Indy there, and things were looking positive at that point for Sydney. But as the game went on and they weren't scoring any more goals, and sort of Newcastle got a sniff at that point, and it got harder and harder for Sydney FC, and we saw Newcastle, come away with the win there.
But we say they didn't score any more goals. It's not like they didn't have chances. They hit the woodwork a couple of times. Same old story for Sydney with a lot of their attacking players as well. I realise that they're trying to improvise playing Shay Connors as a centre forward, and maybe, they're not getting the contribution from midfield that they were in previous campaigns. But is it a matter of patience or is it changing personnel? Because Millie Farrow was back for this game and wasn't really able to change the pattern of the season so far.
The thing is, Ante's chopped and changed all season. At what point do you sort of accept this is the squad I've got? I think, Shay Connors, she's creating chances. They're not going in at the moment, and the confidence is down. It's a big rut. It's a big challenge for the team. There's a long way to go though, and you can't ride Sydney off. You just can't, no matter how poor they are at the moment.
Lucky not to be sitting dead last is what they are at the moment. Let's talk about the positives of the match because Newcastle obviously fought back from being down to take this 1-2-1. What changed for them and what turned it around, Teo?
I think just belief over time that they didn't fall 2-0 down and they weren't out of this game. Newcastle play very good patterns of play. We discussed it last week. Are they one of the best teams other than in the two 6-yard boxes when it comes to both avoiding conceding preventable goals and scoring goals of their own? And it took until the 85th minute, T, but they finally broke through, and Lauren Allen with a great finish here to take 3 precious points. Yeah, and
aside from the poor defending there, I mean, we see this time and time again with teams that go down, they hold out for most of the game, they get a sniff and, get some fortunate moments like this and they capitalised on those.
Well, they were great goals to finish it off and very jubilant with the win as well. There was a couple of special milestones on the weekend as well. Princess Sabini breaking the one and only Teresa Polias' game record for Sydney FC. This must have been a little bit bittersweet.
Yeah, I was out there, handing over the plaque to Prinny and really proud of her. She's been at the club for a long time. A bittersweet moment, but she's very deserving of it. And I think we're going to see a lot more players in the near future surpassing that number.
We saw Jada Wyman and Remy Simpson there, a couple of former Sydney FC players. The issue is, they can't bring back any of their former players,
No,
Sydney FC.
no.
People are saying, what about Courtney Vine? Could she come back on loan? What about, say, a Charlie Rule or a Sarah Hunter overseas? The problem is that the transfer window, there is no January transfer window. If anyone has told you that there are boxes under the Christmas tree, those boxes are empty. Like there is no window to sign players. This is your squad until the 30th of April, and the only mechanism clubs have is what Melbourne City did, bringing Barbara out of retirement last season because she was a total free agent. So at this point, Sydney FC are more likely to sign Megan Rapinoe than they are to sign Courtney Vine.
So free agent sometime in November leaves you this slice of
You had to be a free agent on the 26th of November. So bringing a player out of retirement is that sort of situation. Right now,
pre-season under their
Not
belt.
happening.
I mean, people don't pay...
We're dreaming.
It's pretty obvious people don't pay close attention to rules and regs, and we're not going to go into the details here. But basically, due to the way the transfer windows work, even to play NPL in February, you had to commit to your club on the 26th of November. So I could throw out names of any NPL player you want. No one in the A-League can sign them because they've committed to their club for next February on the 26th of November.
So tough road ahead to climb back from near the bottom of the ladder.
T, you're not writing them off. Honestly,
no way.
that Christmas fixture list, though, how many points do you see them getting out of Wellington away and then Melbourne victory and then Melbourne City a second time? I personally think that they'll do well to get 3, a win.
But their performance against City was their best of the season. So, you know, they are in a rut. It's a challenge, but this is how they build character. This is probably what they need, in my opinion.
I think our perception of Sydney is going to be totally different when we come back in the
Bring
new
it
year.
on, Taylor.
I think we're going to be talking rebuild because I don't think they will win a game between now and when we next reconvene for Dub Zone next year.
I do see them coming out of this. We're talking about Sydney FC here. Never miss finals, so...
Only time will tell. We'll leave that debate right there, shall we? We're going to head west because the Western Sydney Wanderers are lined up at CommBank and got their first win of a year, and it was a massive 5-1 thumping. Did Western United even get on the plane?
It was a fantastic turnaround from the Wanderers. What a performance. There were so many positives. They were so exciting to watch. And we saw so much less of Sham Karmas in goals, didn't we? But great finish from Silvestre and Olympico to start with. And she got her hat-trick in this game. 3 fantastic finishes, really.
I think the big difference was that second goal. The third goal was a ripper, but Western United were creating chances. When Wanderers went 2-0 up, the lift in confidence and belief was so noticeable, and then it all started rolling downhill. This was the breakout performance. Silvestre with a 17-minute hat-trick.
And that finish.
Just an incredible goal that she's been threatening to do in this league for such a long time. It's hard to believe she's only 18, but we know her name because she's been in this league for 3 years now, and we've been waiting and waiting to see a moment like that.
Yeah, and Olympico, a class finish from the 6-yard box, and then that beautiful left footer from outside the box into the top pocket. It doesn't get much better than that for a hat-trick and their first 3 points of this season. Danica Matos, amazing as well. We'll get to her goal in just a minute. Danica Matos scoring her first Ninja A-League goal after 73. This is in her 74th game. Teresa, you know a little bit about this. It took you a few to get there as well.
Yeah, I think it took me over 100 to get my first goal, but no, really pleasing for Danica Matos. She's, you know, been at the Wanderers for a while now, works so hard in every game, and finally she was rewarded for all her effort. And in this game in particular, very special. I think, you know, this is the type of game and the type of performance that can kickstart their season.
It absolutely has to kickstart their season because they now have proof of concept. And one underrated thing, I know that scoring goals was their big issue, but this was the first game that they started Gemma Ferris in defence. Her and Ella Buchanan both got injured in pre-season and had been building up their minutes to both start the same game at the same time. And I feel as though their plans were disrupted by both that and Madison McComiskey's shoulder injury, which has her out potentially until the last month of the season. So their defence was significantly disrupted. They now have a more solid foundation back there, and that confidence is starting to advance up the pitch. And I believe the tactician may be among us, and we're going to talk a little bit more about their midfield. But just give us a little tease of what's coming up on the tactician.
I'll be delving into the turnaround that the Wanderers showed and what they were doing on and off the ball in that game to show this brilliant stuff. And The key for them, though, is in the future games, can they actually maintain that effort? Because they put in a lot of effort with the press, forward runs off the ball. You know, they were always looking to play forward. So, yeah, I'll delve deeply into that a little later.
I'll be watching.
And I'll ask you to keep your tactician hat on now, T, because I'd love to know what went wrong with Western United. They welcomed Chloe Lagazo back as well from her concussion stint off the side of the park. But they just couldn't find the back of the net and they didn't really fire.
Yeah, they were unusually poor in this game, and normally when the chips are down, that's when, you know, great finish there from Chloe Lagazo.
I might just mention there, by the way, that if Chloe Lagazo didn't put that penalty away, Sydney FC would be bottom of the table.
Yeah, that's a scary thought at this point in the season, but hey, it didn't happen. But yeah, look, an unusually flat game from Western United, and I think, you know, those early couple of goals really took the wind out of them.
I think it's worth remembering young players are going to be inconsistent. Carly Johnson could have left this game with a hat-trick. She's only 20. They did some great recruiting in the off-season, bringing in Sasha Grove and Chloe Lincoln, but it's one thing to be standout players in a team that's down the bottom and, you know, you reward people that are trying as hard as they can to do something about it, compared to the standards you need to win every week to challenge for a title. And I guess a lot of that burden of knowing what it takes falls on a Chloe Lagazo.
Yeah.
So how much pressure does that put on her to communicate that you can't have an off day if you want to win the league, because you have to win the majority? You've got to win 3/4 of your games if you want to win that trophy at the end of the season.
Well, I think someone like Chloe Lagazo thrives on that pressure, but I think you mentioned on air, you know, if Carly Johnson had finished one of those great chances, the game would have been much, much different. And credit to Carly Johnson, she is creating chances game in, game out, and I really hope they start falling for her, because she works so hard to get into good positions, and it's just not going in at the moment.
Well, they certainly went in for Sienna Silvestre, and we're going to hear from her now.
I think we all had an attacking mentality and we just wanted to go forward, and it was something that we didn't have in the previous games. I think we were more reserved, and this week we just wanted to come out here and get behind the line and get the goals.
Tommy Smani, Matilda's interim coach, is here in the stands today, so not a bad time to score a Hattie. How does that feel?
It's good. I always see him in at training, so I'm always trying to prove to him at training, but to do it on the field and in the A-League would be a good thing, and hopefully he's watched it carefully and maybe something will happen.
And great to see a number of Illawarra players, including our hat-trick hero, Sienna. They had Michelle Heyman on the score sheet, Indy DeSantos, Danica Matos, and Sienna Silvestre as well. And we are going to hear a little bit more about Michelle Heyman. It is time for What's Cooking on Socials with Nalin Mastou, thanks to Ninja.
I'm Nalin Mastou with What's Cooking on Socials and in the world of women's football. Brought to you by the Ninja Woodfire Outdoor Oven, which can turn any space into an outdoor kitchen. Powered by electricity, flavoured by real burning wood pellets. Right, let's kick it off with the Women's Champions League, as the final group game matches will kick off tomorrow, and here are the Aussies you can watch in action. LA Carpenters Lyon will be taking on Wolfsburg before the headliner between Manchester City and Barcelona, where you can watch Mary Fowler in action, hot off scoring in the Women's Super League over the weekend. And then you can watch your favourite Matildas trio, Kyra Cooney-Cross, Steph Catley and Caitlin Ford, up against Bayern Munich. Now onto the Ninja A-League, where we saw Tameka Yallop be presented with a framed jersey by the newly retired Matilda's legend Claire Polkinghorne. Tameka recently overtook Claire in the all-time appearance record after playing her 153rd game for Brisbane Roar in the Ninja A-League. We know these two played 122 matches together, so it's great to see Claire still supporting her former teammate. Elsewhere in the Ninja A-League, we saw Sienna Silvestre score a hat-trick in just 17 minutes, and she was congratulated by Michelle Heyman. The legendary striker took to socials to post this very cute throwback pic of her and a young Sienna, and Sienna made sure to remind everyone where she learned her special goal-scoring magic from. Now, my question for Teresa on the Dub Zone panel is, have you had any wholesome interactions with future stars?
Thanks, Nalin. And yes, I had to go through my archives, and don't ask me what year it was, but Avani Prash, we know her as a youngster at Western United, but yeah, she used to come along to our NPL games and Sydney FC games, wanting to learn, you know, of senior players. And
she's got great handwriting.
How good is her handwriting?
And glitter pens,
glitter pen at all, but yeah, it was a very wholesome, you know, little thing that came to my memory. And Avani, good to see her doing really well with Western United.
Isn't it great when players of now can let players of the future dream big? Speaking of big dreams, let's head over to the Sam Kerr Football Centre, where Perth managed to notch up their first win at the new centre team.
Look, Stephen Peters said, we're not worried about our away record. Teams have got to come here. And Teresa, Perth used their home ground advantage to great effect here. I thought that Adelaide were a little bit flat and Perth really came in with a solid game plan to beat them in this one.
Spot on, Teo. I thought Perth really absolutely dominated that first half in particular. The passing accuracy was up. They created chances. They were aggressive. And Adelaide, they were unusually flat. So a really, really good win for Perth.
You've been on the Adelaide bandwagon throughout the early part of the season, Teo. What went wrong for them here?
Gee, you can't say anything nice about a team because everyone thinks that they're your favourite or you're riding them or if you just praise them once. Look, what went wrong for Adelaide there? The foul by Mellizzeri Mullen for that penalty, their aerial defending conceding 2 goals, and then perhaps the worst thing for the medium-term future is Matilda McNamara getting sent off. So I think they'll have to do some set-piece training in defence. That's inevitable this week, but they'll do it without one of their best defenders in the air due to this incident, Teresa.
Yeah, look, a clear, red card.
Did you not think when you saw this it looked like Perth should have been sent off in the first instance?
Well, it was definitely retaliation from Kelly Brown. I don't know how she escaped without a yellow, at least. But, yeah, look, you can't argue that one. Kelly Brown would have been away on goal, and that's why it's deemed a red card.
It's so costly because it's Melbourne City coming to visit as well, a team with so many attacking options. And I mean, Matilda McNamara argued her case, for a good minute there, but ultimately had to go. And that was Adelaide's, I think, hopes of getting back into the game dashed.
Well, Adelaide United are still awaiting results for Erin Healy. She copped an early injury and ended up being subbed off in the 10th minute. Do we know anything else there?
They don't have the results. It's a toe that's the problem. So hopefully for one of their great creators and a player who's really helped Fiona Wirtz find her best, it's not going to be a long time out. But watch this space. The scans are literally happening on the day that we're here in the studio. So hopefully it's good news for Erin Healy.
Yeah, we can only hope so. And hopefully Adelaide get it back together. But good to see Perth putting some points away at home as well.
Definitely.
All right, let's head to Perry Park, where there was a little bit of a false start on this one. Ended up playing the game something like 24 hours later, thanks to that torrential rain up there. It was a clutch moment from Tamika Yallop that sealed the victory, though.
Yeah, look, they've stepped up again, after a loss to Wellington, and welcome back Yallop as well. She makes a huge difference for the team, and it was great to see Brisbane back to their best. 2 quality goals as well, and I do think overall they dominated the game.
It's a great piece of skill from what would normally be considered an unretrievable ball, I reckon, for Yallop to score that header.
Yeah, but no surprise there. She's scored so many headers in her career, and she's just scoring goals for fun this season.
We've been talking about how her form has just got better and better over the last few weeks, even continuing now off the back of the international window. This
was a game played at a really high standard. The Mariners missed Izzy Gomez in midfield, but it had the feeling, with the tactical battle between the two teams, of a finals-like environment. And Deborah Ann Delaharp steps up and scores the opening goal. Sarah Langman gets wrong-footed by the shot across her. And the Mariners had the resilience to come back and respond, because for a long time, this actually did feel like a game that might be decided by the odd goal, only for the Mariners to say, no, we're not out of it. Tiana Fuller, don't believe the data websites. She is 2008 born, not 2007.
So she's 16?
She's 16.
Wow.
She scored 2 in 2 games. To put that in context...
That's huge.
Sam Kerr had 2 as a 15-year-old by game 10. Princess Abini had 2 goals at a younger age than Fuller, but it took her 18 games. So
and she's come off the bench for both of these.
She's come off the bench. I mean, even someone like Kaya Simon had 2 goals in her first 2 games, but she was 17. So this is rare territory for a youngster like
that.
That
is the ginger ninja predicting good things for the future for Tiana Fuller there. There was another special moment in the game up in Brisbane, and it was where Sian Fryer and her sister Lainey finally got to share the field in the Ninja A-League.
And they're 2 very different players, T. So Sian, an out-and-out winger, speed, power, whereas Lainey's a bit more of a creator, plays centrally, and Alex Smith flagged in pre-season that even though Lainey was coming back from an injury and wouldn't be available until now, to expect two very different types of players. Just because they're sisters and twins, in fact, doesn't mean that they're going to play either the same position or the same way. And
Sian's spoken about how special it'd be to share the field with her sister, and it's finally happened. And, I've come up in the league with a few sisters. The Karma sisters spring to mind, and it's always got that extra special vibe about it when sisters take the field together. They've got each other's back.
Lucky. Very lucky, I think. Let's talk about the Mariners, though, because they will have to go away with their thinking caps on a little bit. They were undefeated coming into this match.
I don't think they were disgraced by any means, though.
No,
I think that the midfield situation, Momo Hayashi really dictated a lot of the game. The absence of Izzy Gomez is being felt quite significantly. Interesting that they signed Sarah Rowe, the former Gaelic footballer that plays AFLW. Melbourne Victory tried this a couple of years ago, abandoned the experiment pretty quickly. What's changed in 2 years, T? What do you see? She's a very popular player, but is she a good player is my question.
Well, I don't know, and maybe it's a way to bring a bit of physicality, with Izzy Gomez missing. Perhaps that's the angle Emma Husband's looking at it, but yeah, it's a very interesting one.
Well, it was a good win for the Brisbane Roar and headlined by Tamika Yallop's clutch finish. Here's what she had to say after the game.
I think we actually have a pretty mature team this year. We've definitely got players all over the field that want to lead and want to learn as well. So I think we've got excellent communication, and we have more leaders out there than maybe it looks to the naked eye. So I think we've got, I feel like I'm not putting in any more effort than I did last season. It's just we've got a really good team that's gelling and working hard for each other.
Yeah, Tamika Yallop there with their 2-1 win over the Mariners. We're going to head from Queensland down to the home of the Matildas in Victoria, where Victory and Wellington Phoenix played out a 1-1 draw. Plenty of highlights to come out of this one.
Jeff Hopkins would be feeling pretty annoyed about this because with a couple of minutes to go, T, he was shouting at his midfield. This is the penalty that put Victory in front. He was shouting at his midfield about handing off and who's following who's tracking the runners. And he even made a sub. He subbed off Rachel Lowe for Sarah D'Apollonia because he probably noticed the concentration was dropping, and yet, T, they still conceded in stoppage time. So even when the coach identifies the problem and tries to solve it, ultimately it's the players that play the game.
Yeah, but I mean, aside from that, Teo, I just think that they're underachieving. They've got so much possession, but they're just not fruitful with it, the Victory. They probably feel that they should have had a few more goals, prior to that. And then conceding an equaliser. I mean, very frustrating for them.
Great finish, though.
Great finish.
Absolutely.
Credit to Wellington as well, I must say. But, game at home there, Victory, they're the games they want to be winning.
So Phoenix has secured their first point ever in Melbourne, which is a pretty amazing milestone in itself. 2 wins and a draw in their past 3 matches after starting the season winless. Has it just started to click?
It has, because this is already their equal club winning streak, and now they have the blockbuster of Sydney FC back at Pororua Park, and we remember, T, what a great atmosphere they created for Courtney Vine last season.
Yeah.
This was full-time. They celebrated this like a win because they'll feel it's no less than they deserved. And all the subs they turned to on the bench were key in the build-up to that goal. So they are building momentum. And we said that the signs were there, even with that shaky start to the season.
And it's a win in a sense because, they're in the right going in the right direction, and Paul Temple, they're doing the things that he wants them to be doing to get some success. But yeah, it'll be really interesting, you know, the trip down there for Sydney, because it's not an easy place to go to and win games.
Went straight to Sydney. Did you see that? Let's focus on Beatty Goad, because she has said this will be her last year, and I'm not talking season, I'm talking calendar year. She's going to retire from Victory. She's played her last game.
Victory still hasn't made a formal statement on this, but all the fan podcasts, all the actual fans that go to the grounds, this has become a worst-kept secret, and Victory's kind of let the narrative escape them on this. Beatty Goad...
It's not the first time they've done that, just...
Well, maybe you're referring to at least Caroline Knight's retirement in pre-season, but Beatty Goad, we know, has been juggling a medical degree and is getting further and further towards PhD genius level status with the amount of studies she's committed to do. And unfortunately, it looks as though Victory's got 2 more games over Canberra away and Sydney away. But yeah, we can't formally say that's the case, but it is the talk of all the non-sort of legacy media, and it's probably only a matter of time until Victory confirm it.
She's posted it on her own page, so yeah, it'll be sad to see a player like her go, because she's added so much to the league over many, many years. But yeah, look, you know, a career like that's pretty amazing too. And
I'm thrilled that she got 3 caps. Like, to be part of the Matildas.
Yeah.
I mean, she played in the grand final as a 16-year-old. She's won championships with both Victory and City, went to Stanford, played in Spain and also in Germany.
Career.
And 3 caps, and she's crammed it all in by age 26. It's pretty
amazing.
Good.
and all the study at the same time. She's a pretty amazing human being, and regardless of where you end up and what you do, Beatty God, we wish you the best of luck. One thing that I can confirm is 6 goals hit the back of the net. It was an absolute thriller as Melbourne City and Canberra went head to head. And of course, Canberra United's top goal scorer, Michelle Heyman, just doing Michelle Heyman things.
Incredible finish, and Canberra looked the goods in that first half. They were really, really great, and yeah, Heyman had it again. Fantastic finish from a really tight angle there.
She snuck it in. At first I thought she was just going to cross it, and I thought, hang on, she's had a cheeky go at the goal.
Straight back into the golden boot conversation as well.
Definitely.
I mean, even though these goals came in a loss, and it just felt like 90 minutes was a bit too long for Canberra here, because Melbourne City, they can turn to their bench. They had incredible depth, and this is even after they lost Rihanna Pollicina in the warm-up and had to make late changes on the bench with Shelby and McMahon dropping out of the matchday squad.
Melbourne City
both were sick.
Overran them in the second half, quite simply.
They did. It was a game of 2 halves, and City went in at the half-time break, regrouped, maybe copped a bit of a spray, you never know, but yeah, they came out guns blazing and just overpowered Canberra in that second half.
Canberra, this is just bad luck for Maya Markovski. It's an own goal off her hip. It's headed backwards by Speckmeyer into Markovski, but the giveaway here for Laura Hughes, it's a great finish by Hughes, but I'm still at a loss as to whether it was an unhit back pass or a loose first touch.
I was going to ask the same question. Where was the ball going? To the centre defence because it was out of position, if that's the case, or the ball wasn't hit well, but good pick-up and great finish. And
then the final goal of the game for Letitia McKenna, a tap-in, but that's after Canberra at least got it back to 3-2, so they never went away, Canberra, but once Melbourne City took that 2-1 lead, you felt as though only one team was going to win.
Yeah, definitely. And like I said, they just overpowered them in that second half. But good to see Holly Mack involved in that last goal there.
Yeah, well, she returns from her ACL injury and was involved in the last goal there. It's great when players make it back onto the paddock after an ACL injury. We see the moment here. Her team, herself, everyone would have been super proud.
She told Anna Harrington from AAP after the game that part of her rehab and returning to play is instead of avoiding contact, she wants to be the one that initiates contact. And I think that is a great mentality, because the first time we saw her in the A-League come back from the ACL was at the end of that 22-23 season, and it did feel as though that she was really, apprehensive. And then comes back at the beginning of 23-24 and looked amazing. So I think the mental shift hopefully holds her in good stead. I don't know. I rate Holly Mack so highly. I almost feel nervous talking about it, because we've been down this road before, and we just know that as soon as she gets a decent run at it, she has the potential to not just be a Matilda, one of our best Matildas. I just don't want to jinx it, touching every piece of wood I can
find.
Knock
on all the wood.
All right, let's have a look at the ladder, because we know Melbourne City is sitting pretty at the top of the ladder there with a goal difference of +8 and on 14 points. All the teams have now played 6 games, as you can see. Brisbane Roar chasing as our Melbourne Victory, but the Mariners have taken a little slide following that loss. Wellington are climbing a little bit, but that Sydney FC, Western Sydney, it just looks weird.
It does. I was thinking, is that table flipped the wrong way for a second? But no, Wanderers, I don't want them on top either. Only joking.
You're only ever 2 wins away from the top 6.
It's still very close.
You're 3 wins away from contending.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You seem to think Sydney's Christmas period will go a little bit different than I do. So
I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to get good energy out there for them.
Well, they face the Phoenix on Saturday, but first up, let's have a look at what's happening on Friday night. It will be Adelaide playing host to Melbourne City. That one kicking off Friday the 20th of December at 10 to 5 in the afternoon, followed by the Wanderers at Wanderers Football Park at home to Perth Glory. That one a little later at 7 p.m. Saturday, as we said, the Phoenix and Sydney. Sydney making the trip across the ditch, 2 p.m. kickoff local there. Jets and Roar and Canberra and Melbourne round out our Saturday afternoon. You will have to pick between the pair because they're both kicking off at 5 p.m. And then Sunday, we'll wrap it up with the Central Coast Mariners taking on Western. That is a round 1 rematch.
I'm really looking forward to everything over this festive season.
Me too.
I mean, a great chance to just enjoy some football, get out and be in the summer. All the games now kick off at 5 p.m. at the earliest, so it's not going to be disgustingly hot. It's going to be
good time for families too to get the kids out.
Good evening football and summer fun, golden hour football. There's nothing wrong with that.
Bring it on.
And a good time for us to take a little break too till after the new year. We've enjoyed your company so far. Can't wait for heaps more Ninja A-League action to come your way. We'll rejoin you in the new year. So whatever you're doing, be safe. safe and take care of yourselves. That is Dub Zone, and we thank T&T
Always
for their input today. We'll see you in the new year.